Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sen.
And 15 PCA.
Native 454.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at C15 Podcast. And, we talked about video game movies in the past. The latest one was Tomb Raider, which got a decent reception.
Yeah, they got positive.
And then Rampage really doesn't count because it really has nothing to do with the video game.
Yeah.
So the next video game movie being made is something I thought would never happen. Monster Hunter.
Oh, wow.
Based the game where you're fighting gigantic beasts. And there's not much of a story there.
Yeah.
The newest Monster Hunter World does have a story. Basically, you're trying to figure out where, it kind of has the same plot of How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, all these monsters migrate to this island, and we got to figure out why they're doing it.
Exactly. We
So
follow
it's
them.
kind of the same storyline. So they're going to make a movie out of this, and it's going to be, I guess, I'm terrible with names, but Milla Jovovich, the lady from the Resident Evil films.
Yeah,
She's done all
She's done all of them. And I'm thinking to myself, what? I don't know what to think about any of this.
I don't think that lends itself to a story. It's just not that kind of game.
So this comes from
Yeah.
comingsoon.net, and Variety's reporting it's going to have, production's going to start in September with approximately $60 million budget. The way these monsters look, $60 million budget, there's going to be only 2 or 3 monsters in this?
Yeah,
You would need a budget of triple that
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
decent.
To do justice to... You watch the Monster Hunter World, these monsters are humongous.
Yeah, I'm thinking what budget of maybe like a Pacific Rim?
Well, that's what I said. You're going to need
Yeah.
180, 200
Yeah,
million.
yeah.
Easy.
And that's what they have. And those look okay, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Anderson reveals the log line for the film, which reads as follows, quote, "For every monster, there is a hero. An ordinary man in a dead-end job discovers that he is actually a descendant of an ancient hero. He must travel to a mystical world to train to become the monster hunter before the mystical creatures from that world destroy ours." Oh my god, it's a stupid...
Wow.
He lives on Earth, then somehow he's the descendant,
Transported.
and there's like a portal transporting those monsters. It's another Rampage.
Yeah.
So these monsters are going to get to our world and start busting up a city.
What Rampage does lend itself to it, but they did it stupidly in the movie. This story does not lend itself for that. They're supposed to be on this island. They're not supposed to be destroying anything.
Yeah, the Monster Hunter world is supposed to be way separate from Earth.
Yeah, there's no crossover crap. Ugh.
No.
I should have read that before I started this video,
even
but
worse.
my goodness, that hurts my brain. Such a stupid premise.
First of
What
all,
a dead-end job. Wouldn't it be cool if I was a hero?
Bro.
Oh my goodness, I'm a hero.
Literally, it was already bad to begin with. This makes it a million times worse. I was already worrying. I don't think they could do this now. There's no doubt in my mind.
And like we brought up how there's no real story, because in these games you just make a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just hunt monsters.
So
They cook food and stuff.
Yeah, and you have those little cat people, which are funny.
Those are cool.
So we have, they asked that question, and this is from comingsoon.net. He elaborated on how the game's protagonist-free premise is helpful towards what they're creating. Yeah, so helpful. Quote, "There is no real central characters, so it's like when you first approach Resident Evil, an impulse of our own characters and story on that world," Anderson said. "I think that it's the perfect IP for us to do exactly the same thing again. The Monster Hunter world includes these huge deserts and makes the Gobi Desert look like a sandbox. They have ships that sail through the sand. These are the full-on galleons, but rather than sailing on the ocean waves, they sail through the waves of sand. They're fighting giant creatures, some big as a city block. They live underneath the earth, and when they burst out, it's like the best of Dune. You also have these flying dragons and giant spiders and wonderful creatures." How did he answer the question?
He didn't answer the
didn't.
question.
He just started talking about something. He kind of trailed off and talking about monsters.
He just talked about the game, not about what the movie's going to be
Yeah,
about.
because they basically asked, like, so how are you going to make, like, that kind of plain character that you pick in the beginning of the game, like this really big
And
person?
no offense, nowhere in any part does this have anything to be like Dune at all. Dune was something else. This was not Dune.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, again, I played Monster Hunter World for like 25 minutes. It took forever to get to the actual action, which bored the hell out of me. Then when you did, I'm like, I remember we played on the PSP.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter it's been going on for a long time. But it always, the controls are clunky. That's just the way Monster Hunter is. And it's just, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea. I just couldn't get into it.
You know what? This is where I would think when you look at this movie, maybe you should have took, I know this is going to sound weird, the Dungeons and Dragons kind of storyline where you just pick them in the world. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been a way better idea than having this, like...
Yeah, like, just tell a story of they're already in the Earth doesn't exist.
Exactly.
No, at all.
Yeah, it's just this whatever
And
world
then you can even make a village if you want to.
Yeah.
And you have to defend the village against the monsters coming in.
Yeah, like make it to where like, oh, we live in this village, but every year monsters come and still half of our people. We just deal with it.
Yeah.
Then like this young girl comes up to know I'm gonna find
At
out
least
why the
that's
monsters do this.
interesting.
I just wrote the whole story and it's better than whatever the hell you
and
just
also,
did.
another problem is, too, they said that, so you got that female, that the main actress lady is going to be in there, and then the main hero. In this game, you have a team, and that's how you take down the big monsters.
Because you have people. There's all different kinds of weapons.
Yeah.
Giant swords. You have the exploding crossbow thingy, the lance. You have a bunch of cool
traps
weapons. Yeah, so I'm wondering if they're gonna implement the use of traps, the different ammo types.
Yes, the team aspect of
The little cat people. I forget what they have a special name. I don't forget what they're called, but they're gonna have them in there.
I could see this movie where like the portal opens and these monsters come through. And they're bad ones. All of a sudden, you see this female person on one of the monsters, Olivia Munn. Okay, that's what it feels like. Feels like it's gonna be this kind of movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It's ridiculous.
Man, oh man, this sounds awful. This sounds like this is a direct-to-DVD or video on demand type thing.
Because 60 million won't be enough. You're gonna have that money, and then it's gonna be eaten up real quick. You're like, do we Sharknado this?
70% of the film takes place in our world, like him at his crappy job. Or the very last little bit of it's actual
Well,
monster.
because it has to be, right? You would think, right?
A little montage that shows him training. And, oh, you're ready.
Fighting, eating cooking on the spit. Then he burns the meat. Whoa!
And that world literally is not going to lend itself to any interesting points or at all. Not with that budget. There's no way. You have to make it expansive, and it isn't even close.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I predict this thing doesn't really get off the ground, and when it does, maybe the budget gets slashed, and it's just a Redbox exclusive.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think if you're going to pick a world, I wouldn't pick Monster Hunter. It's too big. It's too vast.
I thought Mega Man would have got made first, or something like that.
Exactly.
But Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Because Mega Man, you have parallels there with Astro Boy
and RoboCop
and all that. Yeah.
See, but this thing, how are you going to do these big giant monsters and have it look cool and believable? Because you can't have cheesy looking monsters. It's going to be awful.
Yeah.
I would love for them to do like partial actual build half the monster and the rest of it CGI.
Yeah.
So like the mouth and teeth are real, like they did with the original Alien Queen, like a big.
And maybe even if you wanted to, I know this might sound a little off, maybe even a little bit of Labyrinth. Maybe do a little more PUBG, where maybe some of the monsters are a little more...
Yeah, they're real.
That kind of... And maybe even have one that even talks. I don't know, at this point.
Well, exactly. Like, how cool would it be if you had puppetry for the little cat people?
Yeah, they talk.
And
not
they had
CGI,
weights
but
in
an
it.
actual, like...
Yeah, they had
armature, and you make it...
Maybe, if Jim Henson's son was to do this, I'd feel more confident. Because I just think this is going to be a mess.
And you gotta remember, these characters are fighting these monsters. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have humans next
jumping up in the air, stabbing them in the face.
It has to look good. It's gonna look real cheesy if it's like cheap animation.
All the fights like take place off screen. Like is that? Well, that was a great battle. They'll show it. They just talk about
He's
it.
like,
That was amazing.
It comes out. Oh man, that was a tough battle. Oh man, that'd be so funny. But like, how much of the game do you? That's the problem with every video game movie is how much of the game do you put in the movie? Do you have all the stupid things like make sure to eat and drink water and do all the little things?
Exactly, you should. I mean, it's like a big part of the game.
If this is Metal Gear Survive, you have to eat and drink water at all times.
But I just want to know. I want to see a trailer just to see what these monsters are going to look like.
Yeah,
I think it'd be ridiculous.
I think the guy from Earth gets transported to another world is the stupid premise.
It's a very cheesy premise.
Does he go up in the attic and see his grandpa's old training sword? Whoa! Like how is it so stupid?
No, he goes to that thing and he gets zapped like Tron. There
you go. This is what's gonna happen. He's gonna be at his desk job. His boss is a jerk and treats him like crap. He's at his desk and the guy walks by with the mail. Yeah. Oh, you got this letter, and it's like this ancient looking thing, and he starts reading it. Oh, I have to go to this area. Oh, my grandpa was this hero or whatever. I bet you that's a scene in the movie because it's so cliche and so stupid. I think that's what's going to happen.
Or you have to go to this bookstore or something, and then he goes there.
You inherited a bookstore from your great-great-grandpa. Something stupid like that.
How cool would this would have been? There's speaking of the premise, and they're like, oh, he's at a dead-end job he doesn't like. How cool if this guy was actually a hunter?
Yeah, then like
that would never happen.
Yeah,
guarantee he's not going to even know how to use a gun, and by the end of this movie, he's going to be with swords.
But that would be actually cool. Like, how could you imagine how cool it would be if like he actually hunts? He has like things on his wall, and he's like, oh wow, my grandfather really was like a real
hunter of real monsters, not just bear and lion.
How cool would it be if this guy's like in special forces or in military? But that's not.
No, he's
going to
be some dorcas.
He's going to be some dork.
Exactly, and how cool would it be that like he talks to his great grandfather and he tells him these stories of hunting these monsters. And he's at his cabin, and he's like, "Oh, Grandpa, you didn't hunt a dragon, or a beast, or..."
We're making it sound better than it's really going to be, guys. I'm telling you.
None of that's going to happen.
No, it should, but it won't.
An ordinary man in a dead-end job discovers that he's actually a descendant of an ancient hero that travels to a mystical world to train to become a monster hunter.
Man, this is just making me mad.
Does he go to Hogwarts? Does he go to platform 9 3/4? What is this?
Yeah, no, all of a sudden he gets an owl and it takes him.
I know, right? Again, I want to see a trailer just so it's going to be a hot mess. This is going to be like one of those movies you watch just to laugh at it the whole time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching and be sure to like, sub, and share. Also, for the most up-to-date information about the podcast, follow us on Twitter at C15 Podcast.